The International Criminal Court, or ICC, finds basis for possible crimes against humanity in President Duterte's war on drugs. But Malacanang says the chief executive will never cooperate in any probe initiated by the ICC. Let's discuss this further with Aurora Parong. She is the co-chair of the Philippine Coalition for the ICC and head of Amnesty International PH. Good evening, ma'am. First off, what was your reaction to this formal request of ICC prosecutor Fatou Bensouda to launch a drug war investigation?
Hi, Sean. Of course, we are very happy because it's a very welcome development. The prosecutor of the ICC has finally, after lots of months of waiting, she has finally asked the pre-trial chamber to authorize an investigation.
Yes. Ma'am, can you perhaps walk us through this preliminary report that was released by the ICC? What were your key takeaways for us laymen to understand, at least?
First, the prosecutor's report says that there is reasonable basis to find that there's crimes against humanity that happened here in the Philippines in the war on drugs. When you talk about crimes against humanity, there has to be systematic and widespread crimes. So that's a serious international crime that is within the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court. If it's just one killing, that it doesn't take it on. If it's not systematic, it's not widespread, then it cannot take it on. But when it looked at the cases here in the Philippines, there are reports about 7,000 that were caused by police operations directly, wherein people were killed. And then there are, of course, the killings also, which they said is not related to police operations. But that's a lot. That's 27 to 30,000. That's what the Commission on Human Rights earlier said might be the actual numbers. We don't really have, all the actual numbers because it looks like different organizations like the CHR would have some NGOs, civil society would have some, or some may have directly given the reports to the International Criminal Court. But now that there is this request for authorization, it means that first, it's systematic and widespread, so crimes against humanity. Then the possibilities that it's not only those who pull the trigger may be accountable, but there's possibilities that those who encourage the killings can also be included in the investigation of the ICC. Of course, there's still a lot of challenges right now. First, after this request of the prosecutor, we need to have the pre-trial chamber authorized. So they have to approve the request. And then after that, then there can be continuous work from the office of the prosecutor to investigate. So they will now look at cases, possible cases that can fit into the crimes against humanity, which they said there's reasonable cause to believe that it happened. So they have to look at specific cases, see who are maybe directly responsible. Is there some command responsibility that they have to look into? So what's the pattern? So how widespread is it that? So they must have now evidences. I'm very happy that the prosecutor already said that they have taken some steps during the preliminary examination to ensure that some of the evidences are safe and secure. After that, of course, they have to see what charges. So the killings, is it really killing is there extrajudicial killing without self-defense or something like that? And then they will look at, was there torture before the killing, because that was an allegation. Also, there are cases which were given to them where there's like rape or sexual violence against our relatives of the victims of extrajudicial killing. So, and then the third that they have to look at, complementarity. So when you talk about complementarity, you really have to see, is there anything that's happening on the ground at the domestic level? Because not all cases that are brought to the ICC are taken by it if there's really criminal prosecution that's happening on the ground. Right now, we only have one case, the case of Kian, where there was effective prosecution. So it means that there was investigation, there's evidence, and then 3 policemen were convicted for the crime of killing. And now that has to be looked into. And so we know that there is, I just read a statement from the Department of Foreign Affairs, and their view is that if there is some review by the Department of Justice and the courts are functioning, then the ICC shouldn't take it. But it must be very clear that it should be towards criminal prosecution, not only of those people who pulled the trigger, but also the most responsible. Is there a policy? Was somebody encouraged to make the killings in the war on drugs? Of
All
course,
right.
they, in the report of the prosecutor, she also mentioned that they looked into some cases in Davao from 2011 up to 2016. It was in 2011 that the Philippines became a state party, and the treaty is enforced in the Philippines. So they can only look at cases from 2011, when the treaty was already enforced in the Philippines, up
Yes,
to
ma'am?
2019, March 16.
Right, ma'am.
Because
So
that's the
how
time that
then?
we were, yeah.
Yeah. How then will Duterte's reluctance to cooperate affect the timeline of this investigation? And what other factors could possibly come into play? I heard you that's a lot of cases, really, and even predating the presidency of Duterte.
There has to be some witnesses who are willing to really give testimonies, no? Because that's very important. And then, of course, there has to be also a paper trail, documentation, the memos of the Philippine National Police encourage the killings. Was there accountability for even those at the top level of the PNP? Or maybe you can also ask, how did the public statements of the president affect the attitude or the way the Philippine National Police conducted its operations? Also, in conducting not even investigation, you failure to conduct investigations. You know, one thing that should really be done locally to prove that you are doing something, first, file cases, move them to criminal prosecution, not just administrative cases. And what has been done? The Secretary of Justice said that there are cases for administrative and criminal action. What has been done? Why is the Secretary of Justice waiting for the police to do it when the prosecutors' offices are under the Department of Justice? So why can't the Department of Justice take hold of these cases and then be able to look at it and really file? And then, of course, at the level of the police, I think the presumption of regularity without investigations is wrong.
All right.
It is in the mandate. Yeah, it is wrong. But the mandate of the IAS, Internal Affairs Services, is to any firing of shots should be investigated. Much
right.
more if there is, killings. So there's still a lot, really. That's why when we said it is a very welcome development, it is a ray of hope for the families of victims of extrajudicial executions. But it's just a ray. There's still no complete life. It's not a complete victory because there has to be that process up to the trial. If there are charges that will be filed, then there will be a trial. There is due process even for those accused because there has to be a fair trial for both the victims' families who are seeking justice as well as for the one who is accused. So it's still a long way.
Right. We understand that it is going to be a long way, but we're glad that it seems the inertia has been broken. Thank you so much for your time and your insights. Aurora Parong, Philippine Coalition for the ICC and co-chair and head of Amnesty International Philippines. Thank you so much for your time, ma'am.